Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, and our ongoing study in the Gospel of Mark. We're going to begin chapter 5. We're going to look at 5, 1 through 20, and then we'll take a look at some commentary by Edwards and a little bit of Greek. Not a lot, but we'll look at a little bit of Greek. Let's go to block 1 and get started with the text. Okay, block 1. They went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes, where Jesus got out of the boat. A man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot. But he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs were feeding on a nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this to the town and the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. And all the people were amazed. So we get the opposite of the Messianic-Secret here. That's the key difference in this passage. Now Jesus says, "Go and testify." So what's going on here? Why the transition from Messianic-Secret to, yes, go and testify? Let's go to block 2 and see if we can get some help from Edwards. Okay. Jesus is again connoted with God in the healing of the demonic. A town named Gergesa existed on the eastern shore of Lake Tiberias. This is Mark's third and most graphic exorcism. The evil forces that torment the man do parallel the violent tempest that beset the boat. The man's banishment to the tombs did render him unclean. did render him unclean. And Edwards says, go to Numbers 19:11 through 14. Also the swine, being raised as food, were for the Roman occupation. So we have a generally unclean Gentile territory. Most important in this narrative is the reference to Jesus as Son of the Most High God, transcendent over all Gentile gods. The power to prevail over demons resides within Christ himself. The demon is a multiple or represents fragmented personality. The command, here you go, the command to silence is not given to this healed man. He is told the opposite, go and testify. This was because in Gentile territory there was no pre-existing false idea of the Messiah. There you go. This was because in Gentile territory there was no pre-existing false idea of the Messiah. That's why we have the difference, no Messianic secret here. Let's move on and take a look at the Greek. In the Greek, we look at verse 19 because that is the verse concerning the change of the Messianic secret. Legai autai. He says to him, go to your home, oikon, go to your home, and to your own people, and declare, apangelion, testify how much the Lord did for you, and had mercy on you. Apangelion, to declare, to testify. Jesus tells the man to apangelion. And I agree with Edwards. It's because in Gentile territory there was no pre-existing misconception of the Messiah as a military rebel with an army who would overthrow the Roman military. There was no pre-existing idea of a militant Messiah in Gentile territory. Now in the Jewish territory, there was a preconceived wrong idea of the Messiah as a rebel, militant type Messiah who would have an army to overthrow the Roman military and the Roman occupation. It was a misconceived presupposition concerning a militant Messiah, the opposite of what and who the Messiah truly was and is. He came to serve as suffering servant, not militant rebel. So in Jewish territory, there is the theme of the Messianic secret. In Gentile territory, Jesus says, go and testify. Go and testify to the healing and the mercy you have received. There is no preconceived idea of a militant rebel Messiah in the Gentile territory. That misrepresentation, that's a part of Jewish environment, not Gentile environment. So we have a big change here in this narrative where Jesus says, apangelion, go and testify, apangelion, go and declare what healing and mercy you have received, apangelion. So very important transition here. very important transition from the Messianic-Secret in Jewish territory to the Imperative-To-Evangelion, declare and testify, in the Gentile territory. So very, very important. I agree with Edwards. If you go to Edwards, Block 2, all the way down to M, the command to silence is not given. He is told the opposite, to go and testify. This was because in Gentile territory there was no pre-existing false idea of the Messiah as a militant rebel to overthrow Roman occupation. That preconception did not exist in Gentile territory. That was a Jewish misconception of the coming Messiah. That's going to wrap up 5:1 through 20. Next time we go 21 through 30 in chapter 5. 21 through 30 in chapter 5. We have another instance of healing. That wraps up the healing of the demonic in 5:1 through 20 in the region of the Gerasenes,